Hello and welcome to episode number 2 of Tech Stuffing, where we talk about technology, video games, and other cool things that we find. I'm Jarrett, your host, and always, as joining me today all the way from the West Coast, our video game enthusiast, Chris.
Heyo.
Yeah, I know that's only this is only our second episode, but that music is still cool. I'm going to keep saying that until it gets old, so maybe give it a couple
I like the 8-bit, the 16-bit, the old video game.
Yeah. It's definitely cool. All right, I just want to take a minute to say a couple things before we actually get this show on the road. First off, full disclosure here, if you guys are still with us after last episode, we are 110% amateurs when it comes to podcasting. We may know a lot or a little about tech and video games, but we are brand new at this podcasting thing. So all I ask is for you guys to kind of bear with us during our growing pains while we work out, how to make all this work. So
and do it well.
And do it well. So if you guys have any comments, suggestions, whatever, please feel free to leave them in whatever comment section you guys are listening to this podcast. You can visit our website, techstuffing.net, and leave us comments there. We'll be on iTunes, obviously, YouTube, all that stuff. Twitter, look us up on Twitter. Anyway, all right. With that said, I guess we'll go ahead and get the show started today. So today we have let's see what we got. We got Oculus. We're going to talk about the Oculus Go. So I've owned that now since it came out. I think May 1st is when they released. We'll have a little review of that. We got some more AMD news. AMD is trolling Intel this time. This is pretty interesting. We got some cool drone news to talk about. A couple of space startup should be pretty interesting. Some Star Wars movies, maybe, possibly. And then we're going to jump into our E3 coverage. So today is going to be Microsoft's, their keynote. Last episode we talked about EA. So if you guys haven't listened to that, go back and listen to that one and then skip to this one. But yeah, so Oculus. So my Oculus Go, I have had this thing since May 1st, and it's now the end of June. So it's at 2 months. If you don't have an Oculus Go, buy one. Do it. So I was super skeptical when I bought this thing. I was, I'd heard about VR and I'm like, how cool could it actually be? But I wanted to give it a shot. So a $200 headset, the entry is pretty low compared to the bigger, Oculus, the full Oculus and the Rift, the HTC Vive. But I got this thing and I was blown away. It's pretty cool. Yes, everything is like 3D and it's just really cool. So best case or best use scenario I found for it, while the games are really cool to watch movies and media, like a media consumption device. It's awesome for just being able to lay back in your bed at night and it feels like you're watching Netflix on a 100-inch screen. It's pretty amazing. The games are pretty cool too, though. In the time I've played it, or I've had it, I played Pinball FX, Ultra Wings, Dead and Buried, Drop Dead. All these games are pretty cool. Bait. Pinball FX there's a pinball simulator, it's pretty cool. The controller's kind of wonky with it, with the Oculus Go, the controller it comes with, but you can get a gamepad, a Bluetooth gamepad, and link the buttons that way. It's super cool. Ultra Wings is a flight sim game, and you actually use the controller like a joystick, which is way more immersive. It's pretty neat. Check it out. Dead and Buried is just a zombie wave shooter, but it also has a multiplayer online kind of deal. So you can essentially go into a room with 4 other people, and it's like a dueling simulator. So you're standing right across the road from another guy. It counts down, and you got to pull your gun and shoot it before he shoots you. It's pretty cool. I actually just spent a lot of time playing that. Drop Dead is another zombie wave shooter. It's got like a small storyline behind it, but for the most part, it's a zombie wave shooter. So it's pretty cool. And Bait, it's a fishing game. It's exactly what it sounds like. You fish. It's a little more cartoony, but still fun. Then the non-games that I've tried Altspace, which is supposed to be like a social kind of environment. I have had the worst luck with it. I would give it 0 out of 0 stars. It's not that great. So there's supposed to be improvements coming. It's supposed to be a place where you can kind of just go into a room and have a conversation with somebody, whatever, meet up with your friends. But my experience, it's been buggy. The movement mechanism has just been super uncomfortable. Sometimes it makes me feel you can get pretty motion sick using it. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. But it's not that good. Now, Oculus Rooms is pretty cool, though. That's like their version of their social environment. So you can invite your friends into this, essentially your room, and you can play chess and checkers and talk and watch TV and share content. It's pretty neat. Then Netflix is just like a Netflix, except the big difference is it feels like you're watching Netflix on a 100-inch screen. The only bad thing is the subtitles. With the resolution of the Go, the subtitles don't look the greatest. But I don't watch that many subtitled movies, so no big deal. But if you watch a lot of anime that has subtitles, then might want to stay away from it. Hulu is I think better. The Hulu app I think is better than Netflix on the Go. It allows you to actually change your environment, so you can go from like a movie theater to like sitting on the beach watching TV. You can go to all kinds of cool places. It's pretty neat. I've also tried Big Screen VR, which is supposed to allow you to cast your PC screen to your VR screen. And I've had limited success with this. This also might be a function of my internet speed being too slow, but the lag is kind of horrendous when I've used it. But again, I think that's a function of my setup. But I have had success with Plex. I have a Plex server for all my movies and music and TV shows, and that streams very well to the Oculus. And you can set up different rooms to view your content as well with that. So as well as Big Screen and Plex, Plex does not have the ability to invite friends yet, but I believe they're working on that. I could be wrong. Don't hold me to it. But yeah, so Chris, you should get a Oculus Go.
Yeah, you keep telling me about that. I was much more on the ropes than you about VR, and I hadn't looked at anything. So when you're like, I'm gonna go get the Oculus, and you kept going back and forth, and then like 3 days later, you're like, I impulse bought it.
Yeah. It was totally worth it. Like I showed it to my parents the other day. My dad was like sitting on the couch, almost fell off the couch playing it. He was having so much fun. So
that's great. I'm glad it's come so far. I mean, I remember when Nintendo put out their VR console way back in the day.
Yes.
There was nothing but red everywhere, and it was like, this is bad.
What was the name of that stupid thing? Oh man, what was the name of that?
I couldn't tell you.
I'm so mad I can't remember. I should know the name of that thing. I'm looking it up. Virtual Boy. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that was a not good.
That was a classic. That was a fail.
Yeah.
How's what type of controller did you say you use, and what did it come with?
Oh, so it comes with like it's a one-handed remote looking thing. It's got a touchpad on the top. So a touchpad and a directional, like an actual click, left, right, up, down, and a touchpad. It's got a back button and a home button and a trigger on it. But you hold it with one. Yeah, you hold it with one hand. So it's really good for shooting games because you can hold it like a gun and shoot. But I found the trackpad can be kind of cumbersome. That's why for the pinball game, when you're playing pinball, you usually have 2 buttons, the left and the right, to swing the pad, to hit the flippers. And they've used the trigger and one of the buttons on the trackpad you have to push. So it's not the greatest, but you can get Bluetooth controllers for it. So if you're going to play a bunch of arcade games, get the controller. Oh, Oculus Arcade, that's another one. You should get that one. If you have a controller, get Oculus Arcade. It allows you to play all the old arcade games, but in VR.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I know.
The controller. Go ahead.
I know they're redoing Tetris for, I think, the PlayStation VR. That looks super awesome.
Yeah. I think I heard that recently too. It looks pretty cool, but it's one of those games that, I don't know, I need to see it in VR because you can play it on the regular screen, so I want to see what VR brings to actually making that look better. But
that sounds good.
Yes. Yeah, so the controller works really well with Ultra Wings, which is like the flight sim, because you actually hold the controller like you would a flight stick, and you can actually push it forward to dive, pull it back to climb, that kind of thing.
It functions like a joystick.
Right. So it's different games the controller works with, but some it doesn't. But like I said, you can always get a Bluetooth controller.
I believe you mentioned too that you can set up stuff to view stuff with your buddies.
Yeah. So big screen is supposed to be able to do that, and alt space. I think big screen is the big one.
That'd be neat because I know I've done stuff on the PC where we all want to watch something like late at night before we go to bed, like a bunch of buddies or something. And it's like, oh, okay, well, all right, let's go try and find a program that will let us link everything up. That would be something a use I could see myself getting out of it on top of just the games.
Yeah, so big screen is super cool because you're supposed to be able to essentially set up mirror your screen. So you set up this room in big screen. You can send that link, or you can send the room ID to your friends. Your friends can join your room, and then you can all 4 or 5 or however many. I forgot what the limit is. I think it's only 4 for the Go. Might be more. I don't know. But you can essentially join the room, and then you can all watch what your screen, what the host is streaming. So you can watch a movie or do whatever, and then you could talk, and you have your avatar, so you can actually look. But I guess the one limitation or big limitation the Oculus Go is, so it doesn't have hand tracking and 6 degrees of freedom like the more expensive VR setups have. So what that means is with the Oculus Go, you have 3 degrees of freedom, which means that you can turn your head left and right and look up and down. But as soon as you move your head forward, it doesn't track that in the game. The same with the controller. It kind of mimics the 6 degrees of freedom, but it's essentially just a motion controller. It's a glorified Wii controller. It does a pretty good job. Don't get me wrong, but
when you're describing it, that's what I was picturing in my head was a Wii-like controller with functionality for the Oculus.
Right. So like if you take your hands and you move them closer to you move them farther away or closer to you, it doesn't exactly track. It does a decent job of that, but to do that you have to have optical sensors like the Rift and the HTC Vive. But it does a pretty good job. I'm very impressed with the 3 degrees of freedom controller. So if you do get motion sickness, some of the games could make you motion sick, especially not having the 6 degrees of freedom. That really helps with motion sickness. But they're not bad. They actually on the store where you can get these games, there's actually a rating, so like a comfortable or moderate or extreme rating, so you can actually look and see what you're getting into. But obviously, like fishing and stuff, you're not moving around, so it's pretty comfortable to play. Same with pinball. You're just looking at a 3D pinball screen. It's super cool. But yeah, so get one. If you don't have one, get it.
Yeah. It's still just in my mind something that's that's always been something of the future, that it could possibly be here, that I can go out and buy it and do stuff in virtual reality. It still just feels weird for me.
Yeah, for only $200.
Yeah,
I mean, that seems like kind of a lot, but it's not that much. It's like as much as some people pay for their power bill. I don't know. It's less than a cell phone.
My monitor just died, and I may have to get a new one. So maybe I'll get that first.
Or you could just get the Go with that, and then just use your Go as a monitor.
That'd be kind of weird.
Yeah, it would. I don't think it worked too well. The lag is too great right now. So don't do that. Get a monitor.
Thank you. That's what I was planning on doing.
Yeah, and then get Oculus Go so I can actually experience some of this social stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But so anyway, speaking of hardware, I guess we'll jump over to AMD.
What have they been up to?
And their trolling of Intel. This is a pretty cool article that I saw. So this was from Tom's Hardware, I believe. So essentially, AMD has said that it would swap 40 Core i7 8680Ks that were won from Intel sweepstakes with much better Threadripper 1950X CPUs. So basically what happened at Computex 2018, Intel officially announced it was releasing the Core i7 8086K, the special edition processor that commemorates the 40th anniversary of the 8086, which debuted for the first x86 processor in June 8th, 1978. So they made this new processor. Intel then opened up a sweepstakes to give away 8,086 of the 6-core 12-thread processors. You can also buy them, but it was giving them away. And then AMD essentially came back and said, our competitors, this is a direct quote from AMD here, our competitor recently kicked off a sweepstakes to celebrate the first 40 years of the x86 processor by giving away 8,086 limited edition processors. We appreciate the advancements they've helped drive with the x86 architecture over the last 4 decades, but we're ready to take it from here. That's why we're giving 40 performance-hungry enthusiasts in the U.S. an opportunity to celebrate the next 40 years of high-performance computing by trading in their commemorative processor prize for our CPU that enables you to work, play, and create with heavy metal. So the first 40 US-based winners of the Intel 8th Gen Core i7 limited edition will be able to trade in their processor and get themselves an AMD Ryzen Threadripper 1950X. So they pretty much said...
That's a direct spit in the face.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like this feud, AMD and Intel. It's heating up, which is awesome because that just brings innovation to the industry. It's been pretty stagnant for a while. And since AMD came out with their Ryzen stuff and the Threadripper, it's kind of, bring a little competition to the table. It can't hurt, right?
No, that's one thing I've always liked is both companies have gone back and forth over the years. There's always been pluses and minuses to both, and the simple fact that it's been a healthy competition this whole time not only not necessarily forces them, but encourages them to be more innovative, to make better stuff, and then also keeping the cost down, which is win-win for us.
Yes.
So I do more of this. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for the first 40 years. We'll take over now.
Right, exactly. They've got the confidence to say, yeah, yours is pretty cool, but ours is better, so you should get ours. I don't know. It's pretty interesting. AMD at its finest, I guess. I'm thinking about building a system soon, and I'm looking at AMD just because their price for performance is better than Intel's right now. But it could change soon. Intel possibly could have new CPUs coming out. AMD's got their Ryzen 2s and their new Threadrippers coming out. So we'll see what happens. Graphics card prices are coming down finally. It's all up in the air.
RAM needs to come down too. RAM's still stupid expensive.
RAM is outrageous. I think that's really, I don't know. It's I guess when you have 3 major companies that essentially control the RAM market, yeah, it's kind of shitty. But oh well. Hopefully that'll start coming down soon too. That's a conversation for another day. But speaking of Intel, they have had some positive news lately. So I don't know if you guys are aware of Intel's drone light show team, but recently they used the Time magazine used their Intel's drone light show team to create their Time magazine cover. If you haven't seen this, you should go just Google Time magazine drone cover. It's pretty impressive. So they use essentially 958 drones to form a magazine cover in the sky, and then they use one drone to take the picture. It's pretty cool. These are the same people that put on the light show for the Winter Olympics in South Korea. And it's just pretty amazing that Intel can essentially get almost 1,000 drones in the air talking to each other and make this just awesome picture and get a picture of it. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, what was it? I just went and checked. The Olympics had actually 1,200 drones.
Yeah, they had 1,200, yep.
That's just, the possibilities start getting a little scary.
Yeah, here's a quote from a guy who saw it from the ground. He goes, the one Folsom, California resident interviewed by the local newspaper recounted it. He says, "Up in the sky, I saw the future."
That's a little dramatic.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty dramatic, but this is from time.com. So, of course, it got to be a little dramatic. Yeah, it's pretty cool that they've got the technology now to make all these drones talk to each other in the air without running into each other. And when they actually made this drone, this cover, I think they had to adjust their algorithm and actually made the drones fly closer together than they originally planned to get essentially a sharper resolution. Yeah, because you gotta kind of leave some room for wind and weather and all that, so you don't want them bumping into each other. But they managed to pull it off.
I had just cool. A random thought when you were talking about that. What if there's a supervillain out there and he gets control of those drones and he commands them to drop 958 bags of dog poo on somebody's front door and one more to light them all on fire?
That's ridiculous.
A little bit of a erroneous
I
use
guess
of that, but
yeah. I guess you could use them to like. They're small drones. They're, I don't know, maybe a foot square. But I guess you could use them to like run into people and get caught in their hair. I don't know.
A cool thing too. I bet you they could do some really interesting, like nature photography, like overhead views where you have so many, just doing huge panoramic shots, going over jungles, maybe in harder to reach areas like cold jungle, where they could just send in like a squad of drones to see stuff. And
yeah, I wonder if you could use the same kind of technology to map areas.
I'm sure
instead of using like a
too,
Google,
yeah.
Instead of using Google Street View, like a car driving, it's just a drone, like a fleet of drones flying around a city, just mapping the streets. It'd be pretty interesting. But then you'd have people like trying to shoot them down or catch them.
Yeah. I'll give $5 to the first person that knocks that one out of the air.
Right. That'd be pretty interesting to see. Be more efficient.
I've seen they have those drone racing. Have you seen that? That's cool too. I like the drones.
Yeah, those are really cool. Yeah. I might actually build one soon. I don't know. I can 3D print the actual drone body. I just have to and then I can use the Arduino board to program the drone itself. I just have to get the motors and the FPV, the first person perspective camera and goggles. I don't know. A project for another day, I guess.
Yeah. But still cool. Very cool.
Very cool. Yep. But speaking of things that fly, here's something else that's interesting. So there's a startup that's planning to use a catapult system to essentially launch satellites into space. So I read this this article. This is from techradar.com, and I was like, this is got to be a joke. There's no way, but it's 100% true. So this Silicon Valley startup has essentially raised over $4 million already in seed funding to develop this method for launching satellites into space. So they're pretty tight-lipped and closed-lipped on the actual details of how this will work, for good reason. Mainly because it could cut the cost of launching a satellite into space to only about $500,000 compared to right now they several $1 million to launch something into space. So like it severely undercut the competition. But I have no idea how this is going to work. I want to know more. I mean, I don't. Even if you had a ridiculous amount of electricity, which they're planning to, I guess that's how it's going to use. They're supposed to be able to use a green energy or electricity to easily sustainable electricity to propel these payloads into space. But I don't know. It's like a railgun system or something, or
it's going to be like a trebuchet.
I mean, maybe the name of the company is Spin Launch, so maybe they just spin it super fast and
until it eventually breaks through its implant. So once it reaches a certain thing, it breaks its containment and shoots then at a very high velocity type situation.
Yeah, but you got to be going so fast just to go to space. I mean, space is not close. Like it's far away. It's a long way away.
Well, yeah, but they are not breaking Earth's gravity too. They can, slingshot it per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
still, yeah.
There's so much kinetic energy you have to have just to to get that far. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep my eye on this. This is pretty cool. I hope it works because I want to see. Well, I at least want to see how it works.
Yeah, just the concept of how are you actually getting this in space, and then
Yeah.
What?
Like did you see that movie Contact?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So they built that crazy contraption with the rings that spin, and somehow it teleported her off the planet or some kind of other dimension.
Yeah.
For some reason, I kind of picture a contraption like that just spinning ridiculously fast and just somehow launching a small satellite into space. I don't know.
Yeah, or like you said, or like the railgun using some sort of gravity system.
Yeah, some kind of like electromagnet thing to get it going super, super fast to get it into orbit. Or I don't know. Maybe it's like on an airplane or something and it launches it from an airplane. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be completely wrong. I probably am.
We'll find out in the future.
We will definitely find out. But yeah, so space. So speaking of space and cool things that happen in space, so Star Wars.
What about Star Wars?
Yes, Star Wars. So there's an article from IO9 and Gizmodo. There could be a possible 9 more Star Wars movies in development. Yes, 9. So This is coming from actor Tom Kane, who was the voice of Admiral Akbar in The Last Jedi, and he also filled in for the voice of Yoda when Frank Oz was busy. So he did a recent appearance at a Comic-Con, at All-Star Comic-Con. And he essentially basically said there might be as many as 9 films in current development. He didn't specify what the films were. It's probably Rian Johnson's next trilogy and whatever other spin-off movies they're having. But, I mean, that's cool. I'm excited for it.
Is it? I mean, who really watches Star Wars anymore?
I watch them on like a daily basis.
Have you seen the new Solo movie?
Don't ask me that. It's not important.
Oh, okay.
No, I haven't. I have not seen it. And I feel like a bad Star Wars fan for not seeing it. I just haven't had time to go see it. You know, family and work and stuff get in the way sometimes.
I think that's what they're going to do. Continue doing just spin-off movies like with that they did with Rogue One.
Yeah, Rogue One and Solo. Maybe. So I know Rian Johnson got permission to create his own trilogy. So that doesn't. I'm kind of excited for this because it doesn't follow any of the main characters at all. So it's the same universe, completely different story. So it abides by the same rules.
Is it
but it's supposed to be a completely different story.
Going to be canon?
Yeah, I would assume so. But I mean, I don't know where in the timeline it would follow.
Okay, but
there's not much information out about it.
So, I mean, there's tons of Star Wars content out there that they could pull from to make stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, who knows? I mean, so I'm assuming the 3 of those movies will be that, and there's probably at least one more. I think there's actually confirmed one more kind of Star Wars story is what they're calling them now.
And who owns? Is that Disney? Disney owns Star Wars
now? Yes, Disney. Yeah. They're just printing money when it comes to Star Wars and Marvel. It's just spewing out of them. Mm-hmm. Even I don't think Solo did as well as they expected, but it still made a lot of money. Let me see what it made.
$14.
$14.
Good movie ticket.
So total lifetime gross is almost $200 million.
Yeah, I think it made their money back at least.
Oh wait, worldwide $341 million.
It's still in the box office. I believe so.
I believe so. Yeah, it's still making money. Opening weekend, it made 84 million, which is less than they expected. It was number 1 in 4,381 theaters, apparently.
Oh wow!
So
I think it chose a pretty good release time. There wasn't a lot else going on.
Yeah, exactly.
As in, like major releases.
I think it opened with Deadpool, didn't it? Or was that coming out the next week? I don't know.
I think Solo came out after Deadpool by a couple weeks, or before it. I really don't know, but I know Deadpool owned the box office was there, so I'm sure they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I have to go see it. I heard it was good. So I think part of the problem too with that film was there wasn't really a lot of advertising. I mean, when the big Star Wars movies are coming out, even Rogue One, I just remember seeing a lot more ads, and I really didn't hear much about the Solo movie until they had a spot on the Super Bowl, I think, which is only a couple months before it was released, and it just wasn't. I didn't see the toys in stores or any of that stuff. So. Maybe they just kind of dropped the ball in the advertising campaign.
It came out
because I heard it was a good movie.
So it came out, and that Deadpool came out the next week, and Deadpool was very anticipated and heavily marketed.
Yes, right. Yeah, so good call on not releasing it at the exact same time as Deadpool.
All right. Yes.
Yeah, but anyway, so one can hope. But yeah, just because. Movies are in development does not mean they're going to get made, but Star Wars fans can hope.
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
and I will always make fun of you.
Yeah. It's a good franchise, and it's always going to get my movie. I'm the guy that's willing to pay for the digital download and then go pay for the DVD, just so I can have them both in my collection.
Okay, I can understand that.
Well, because I want to see it as soon as I can.
Yeah, no.
So because the digital download comes out with like a week or two before the actual DVD release. So I always I end up getting the digital download and then go picking up the DVD later just so I can have it in my collection.
No, there's a couple books I feel the same way maybe, where like I'll get it on my phone so I can read it immediately when it comes out, but I still like a hard copy because I like reading hard copies too.
Yeah, exactly. So You know what's up. All right. Speaking of Star Wars, I don't know how to segue into this, but video games.
I think you just did. Go into video games.
Speaking of Star Wars, World of Warcraft has nothing to do with Star Wars, but yeah. So we'll jump into this one World of Warcraft news, and then we'll go into the Microsoft keynote for E3, and then we'll finish off the podcast talking about that stuff. So World of Warcraft Classic has been in development for actually, I think, quite some time.
Yes.
But there's been a little bit of news recently about it. So they've pretty much came out and said it's going to take place right after patch 1.12, which is the Drums of War, which came out in August 2006.
Wow, so long ago.
That is a long time ago.
That's
I can't believe that.
12 years, which is kind of funny because it's 1.12.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, we both used to. Full disclosure here, we both used to play Warcraft, a lot of it.
World of Warcraft and the normal versions.
Yeah. Yes, both of them. A lot of it. But anyway, so this is supposed to essentially bring you back to WoW Vanilla. They're running into
Sorry. Continue.
It wasn't that bad.
No, it wasn't, but
it required a bigger commitment than it does now to play.
Yes, and it's, you're also like, my biggest thing is that's 12 years of quality of life upgrades you're going backwards on,
Yeah. Well, I mean, they are working on modernizing the game, so they're going to bring it up to speed with Blizzard anti-cheat and anti-countermeasures, and they're modernizing it for today's graphic cards, and then it'll work with their Blizzard, their BattleNet and all that good stuff. But as far as gameplay goes, you're right. I don't even think flying mounts were out then, were they?
No.
Yeah, I think that was way pre-flying
mounts. That was
mounts.
The first expansion.
Yeah, this is way pre-Burning Crusade.
Yeah, no, because remember we used to try and wall climb to get to areas we weren't supposed to go to.
Oh yeah. Oh, we got to Old Ironforge.
Yeah.
You have a couple mages. You could blink through the doors and go down to the basement or something. Yeah.
I've heard.
So I don't know. It might be
friends of mine who are excited about it. Because I think too, with how many expansions they come out with, that old content has been written over. That lore, those quests, all that has been changed and made streamlined for just getting people to the new content. So going back to it would give you the feel of a challenging content again that people may or may not have had an opportunity to do, since it has been out now for at least 12 years.
Yeah, I think it came out, 2005, 4, 5?
Yeah, so you're talking almost 15 years of content, where some people may have just joined on the last two expansions, and, it'd be neat to go back for them and play through some of our challenges.
Yes, and there were challenges. It was definitely not as easy as it is now.
No, it's still hard. There's just, they've made multiple tiers of difficulty, so the casual gamer has a chance to experience the content, while the hardcore ones, like we were back then, still get the wonders of doing very challenging things and getting the best gear in the game, basically.
Yeah. One thing, if they do this classic version, I hope they keep in the dungeon finder, because I remember back in the day, like you had to know you had to have somebody in your guild that wanted to run with you, or you had to just spam in chat, looking for a group for whatever. The new dungeon finder is awesome. You just queue up and then you get to groups and you just run through.
Yeah, that'd be hopeful they would keep some of that stuff in it, because it did reduce the pain of trying to organize all that into a simple queue system.
Yeah. I just remember trying to, not me personally organize the 40-man raids, but being on the 40-man raids.
Well, you even had to go to those locations. Some of the dungeons now, and you don't have to go to the location. You just kind of join a queue and it will port you there.
Yeah, I mean, I recently played the new, a couple weeks ago. I stopped playing, but I don't know, about a month ago I was playing. I got all the way up to like level 40 from 0 in like 2 weeks. You could level super fast, but so much has changed. Like the world is different. It just some things are like just gone altogether now. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
that's what I was saying, where they streamline it. So a lot of that old content and lore is gone because their world's been constantly changing every expansion. So a lot of the stuff that you did in the first couple games, or the first game itself, isn't there anymore because the world's moved on.
Right.
And like you said, you can't go to level 40 in 2 weeks without a large amount of play in vanilla.
Right. Yeah, you could level super fast. And it helps that I think now the mobs that you fight are always going to be on your level, so you're always going to get maximum experience for fighting those mobs. So I don't know. Should be interesting. I might be willing to check it out for some time, but I don't know if I'm going to spend any large amount of time on it just to go back and get that nostalgia for like a week or something.
I'll let you maybe do it and let me know how that goes.
I wish I could just bring like a old level 60 character back, so I wouldn't have to level up from 0 again and just do those
part of the experience.
in-game raids.
You don't want to go back to Baron's chat?
Yeah, or what was the South Park episode? Just farm boars for.
Yeah. We don't have anything better to do.
Yeah, I don't want to do any of that.
That's the experience they're kind of offering.
We'll see. I hope it's not expensive. I don't think they've come out and said how much it's going to cost, because I don't even think they have a release date. They actually said that. I think this is a quote from Blizzard. Where is it? It's a larger endeavor than you might imagine. So I think they've got their hands full of trying to modernize everything. So who knows?
There was a while ago, there was actually classic servers of WoW up, and it was a big stink because Blizzard came out and shut them down.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why they're putting this out, because they've seen that their fan base is, kind of really wants to play this old game, so they might as well go ahead and put a version out they can support without having these bootleg copy servers, out and about.
Yeah, I was kind of sad they shut them down. I was like, people are having fun playing your game.
Yeah, exactly. But they weren't getting the money from it, so.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Speaking of money, so Microsoft's E3 keynote speech.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
that. What's that have to do with money?
I don't know. Microsoft likes money. I don't know. I'm trying to work on my segues, man. All right. I know they're bad.
It's okay. We have to work at a few different ones from, speaking of.
Speaking of. Well, what else am I supposed to say? Speaking of.
Moving on.
Moving on to Microsoft news from E3.
All right. So we did have a couple of games come out for them. A lot of neat ones. The first one I started with was the Generation Zero, which is produced by Avalanche Studios. They are, I believe, based in Sweden. So surprisingly, their game is based in Sweden. In the 1980s, it's going to be an open world action game, which looks really interesting because the premise is you're going to be fighting giant hostile machines. You're going to have 1 to 4 players. The neat part is enemies are persistent, so damage stays. So you may have to have several encounters with the same guy to kill it. So like you encounter it here and you face off on it and you manage to like break the back armor piece off, and then you're getting run over, so you just run away. Like if you encounter it again, that same armor piece on the back is supposed to stay broken, and then it has a weak point that you could attack in your next combat. It's supposed to be an intense sandbox combat where you set up traps and use the environment to your advantages and stuff. So you're basically just going to be running around facing big monsters in an open world action game. 1 to 4 players.
No, that's interesting. Yeah, that's definitely an interesting a game mechanic.
Yeah, it was,
having like extended encounters like that.
Yeah, and
I can't think of really any other game that's done that. Yeah, 80s. Like no one really does games in the 80s.
So you're gonna have
like a set in the 80s, right?
Yeah, no, I like the persistent damage. The encounters, I'm sure, are going to be difficult, and they may even be designed for you're only going to be able to do so much each encounter before they're all over you, and you're like I gotta go, bye.
Run away.
But it's still new. There's not much more known than that right now. But it's definitely an interesting concept. I'm curious what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I'll give it a shot.
Moving from the 1980s, we go to the future. With
yeah, that's a good one, man. That's a good one.
Yeah, Cyberpunk 2077, made by CD Projekt Red. This is the game studio that has brought The Witcher. And I think they did Witcher 3 was the most recent one, which a lot of people like. This will be for the Xbox, the PS4, and the PC. It's going to be a first-person shooter. It's definitely players will have complete control over gender and appearance, and it's going to be set in the Northern California coastal metropolis, similar to the movie Dread. Would you want to talk some more about this?
Yes. Yeah, no, you pretty much hit it, man. First person shooter, it's open world. It seems to be a good theme this year. So yeah, it's like this kind of, I don't want to say post-apocalyptic. It's not. It's like this kind of, the U.S. government's kind of been overthrown. There's not much law. It's kind of, you got to make do with what you got, kind of deal, kind of environment. So just like the movie Dread.
Yeah.
So yeah, first person shooter.
Also, made me really reminded me of Ghost in the Shell.
Oh yeah, it's got this really cool cyberpunk feel to it. I guess that's the name of the movie or the name of the game. But yeah, so humans essentially augmented by robotics and all kinds of cool stuff. So there was like a 50-minute gameplay preview at E3 that was behind closed doors. So the only thing that I've really heard, I've heard a lot about it, but the consensus seems to be it's awesome, which is great news. But I'd love to see the 50-minute gameplay trailer.
Well, I did hear some interesting things about that. One was apparently there is going to be full nudity in this game, and that's
this is not
that is done on purpose because at this point in society, they're going trans, not so much transgender, is there's no, with all the cybernetic enhancements and stuff that are available to people, those gender lines are supposed to be skewed even more, where it could be half machine, half person at that point, and that's one of, I do know, the RPG elements that they're going to be doing, or they showed in that gameplay, was where you'll be able to get like enhancements to yourself, where they did a combination of like drugs. I know they had one part where they said that the character inhaled something, and it kind of gave him, like, it slowed down time for him for like a minute, so he would have enhanced reflexes, and some of the other things were like tech enhancements, like heat sensing, so like heat radar, where he could switch his vision kind of to a infrared. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Infrared, so he could see enemies through walls. And more upgrades like that, futuristic upgrades, where they could, implant stuff in the brain, or, replace your legs with springs. I don't know why you would want springs for legs. You could jump higher. But
it seems kind of wobbly.
I'm sure they'd have better technological. But that's the theory about what they're doing, and they want that to be. That's a big part of, I think, the game is. That's why they had the nudity part in there, because they don't want that to be. That's not an issue. That's part of everyday life. And with the cybernetics and everything that can be changed, I don't know if you saw or seen any of the Ghosts in the Shells, like the main detective loses his eyes at the beginning of the movie, and he gets cybernetically enhanced eyes.
Spoilers.
It happens in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm kidding, man.
But when I read the articles and stuff about it, that's what I really got a feel for. They were taking in that direction. And it's made by Witcher, which everybody who has played Witcher for the most part has really enjoyed it, and I've heard nothing but good things for that series.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this game. I really kind of want to play it. Just can't play it when the kids are in the room. But so I think this has been in development for quite a while. Like, I think 2013 is what I heard. It's been kind of in the works and talks. So it's actually it's pretty cool to actually finally see some gameplay and some trailers about this. The environment, even if you just don't like the game, you can appreciate the environment because it looks extremely well done and put together. So hopefully, in the coming months, we'll see some gameplay footage come out. We can actually get a feel for what it's going to look like.
This was one of the, I guess, stars of this E3 was Cyberpunk, which was one of the most anticipated, or like, wow, this looks really good. Out of all the different stuff that was shown at E3, this was one of the top ones, if not the top.
Yeah, I think this E3 has made me want to buy a PS4. I have a PC, but there's a lot of good games coming out on PS4, and this is one of them. I think this is coming out for the PC as well.
PC, Xbox, and PS4. It's all planned for all three systems.
There's also certain games that are coming out for PS4 only that
Speaking
I
of one of those,
but we'll get to those later.
I know one.
Yeah, speaking of,
I may have done that on purpose. Halo Infinite was announced.
Yeah, that's not PS4 though. That's Xbox.
It is. Why is that in this section?
Well, we're
Right,
Microsoft,
I'm an
man.
idiot.
That's why.
I lost myself there for a second. Well, because you kept talking about the PS4, and I'm like, yeah, we're in the Xbox section.
Yeah, I threw you off on that one. That's
okay.
my bad.
There wasn't really. It was just a brief trailer. Of course, everybody's analyzing it for all the hidden Easter eggs. It just kind of shows the Master Chief, some guys finding him on a, remote planet with other few things that anybody who's played Halo will recognize. They have said they're going to use a new engine that they're making. No date. It will be for the PC and Xbox systems. So they didn't actually say if it was going to be for the Xbox One or for their future console. They have not.
Yeah, so this might be one of their might be a release for their new console.
This is super early. They just like teasing people and put out the trailer shows nothing. There's no gameplay. I mean, there's very little info or anything that you could figure out from it. But it's still a Halo game has been announced.
Yeah, this could be like one of the launch games. I think that since it's so early, they might be, since they didn't say actually 360, it might be far enough in the future that it's going to be one of their launch games for their new console. So, I don't know. We'll see, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like the old Halo games. I didn't play all of them. I think I played the first 2 or 3, but I did enjoy them. Not just for multiplayer. I did like the single player. I thought they had a good story to it.
Yeah, I always enjoy the single player better because I don't have to get killed 500 times before.
Yes. Another game, though, that they talked about. This one is I'm probably going to butcher this. Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. This will launch in 2019 at some point. I believe this is made by the creators that do Dark Souls. However, they are very adamant this is not a Dark Souls game. Interestingly enough, it is set, though, in Japanese fantasy setting. You're basically kind of playing, not a samurai. They didn't want to do a samurai. They did a ninja. His left hand gets kind of cut off at the beginning of the game and gets replaced with a prosthetic that has all kinds of neat little powers. Like, apparently you can turn it into an axe, and then you're dual wielding a sword and an axe. I think the main functionality is it's a grappling hook. So you can launch yourself to locations, and it also helps with mobility for dodging. And that was one of the things they said they were doing. That's why this isn't a Dark Souls game, because Dark Souls, you get your sword and your board. They wanted more ninja-like versatility, much more focused on mobility. Interestingly, though, they came out, and as of now, there is no RPG to it. Like, there's no classes, there's no leveling and progression system, which I found interesting.
Huh? So you just, I don't know. You just have all your abilities through the whole game, or something.
That's what I took from that statement. It was a little weird. But still, this is not going to come out till next year, so that could change.
Yeah, better be a good story.
Yeah. But it looked to me like a Dark Soul game when I first started watching it. But they were really trying to say no, it's not. And one of the things also they were talking about is, since they have the grappling hook as a secondary use constantly, they want not only north and south progression through a level, but up and down. So instead of progressing just kind of straight through a level, there's going to be things where you could, in a city, climb up levels and go elsewhere. They want a multiple, not just straight forward. With that increased mobility up and down as well. So they want more vertical is the word I'm looking for, as well as horizontal gameplay.
So more like a Assassin's Creed or Dishonored.
I think that's what they're trying to say. Yes.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. We shall see. Huh?
Interestingly enough, we shall see of Thieves is the next one we're talking about.
I lived into that one.
That is, of course, everybody who's played it is the pirate open world pirate game. It will have 2 expansions this summer. The first will be Cursed Sails in July, so very soon, and then the second will be The Forsaken Shores in September.
What is it on?
I believe Xbox and PC.
What is this? Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, Xbox One. I've never played like an open world pirate game.
I had
and the art style in the game looks kind of cartoonish too. I don't
the
know.
only thing I know
Could
about
be
it was a
good
buddy
though.
played it, and you basically the neat thing is you basically have your ship, you go loot and plunder other ships, but see then you have to kind of get it back to your stronghold, or other player can come along and attack you while you're still a little weak from your previous adventure and take all your stuff. So you have to, loot other pirate ships and then make sure you get back, and get your loot safe, or you can be hit again. So you have to, keep your eye on the horizon and then ship battles.
That sounds kind of cool, actually.
All right, then we got Forza Horizon 4 was announced. That is, of course, the racing game. That is only on Xbox and PC. Comes out on the 2nd of October. This one will be set in the United Kingdom, and it's doing the same shared open world feel that the last one had, and this one's going to have apparently over 450 cars in this game. It is a very pretty game, and they definitely said they want you to have multiple avenues to becoming the top racer. I'm sure they have a better term for that. It's been a long time since I played a racing game.
I always like racing games. I don't know, ever since the Need for Speed games, way back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, me too. It just never
I always enjoyed
actively pursued it kind of after, like, I kind of moved away from console to PC, so.
Yeah. Well, even on the Need for Speed on the PC, I think I liked them just because it was an easy game to pick up and play for a couple minutes. Now the racing simulators like Gran Turismo, I enjoyed those as well, but they were a little more difficult to play because they were an actual racing simulator. It wasn't as arcadish as
the realism
Forza has kind of gone to.
Yeah, no, I think I like the arcade feel more because I don't know anything about cars either. So it's like, what is it making this suspension stiffer mean? Does that make me turn harder, or what does it do? So we'll leave that to.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's tons of people, and there is obviously tons of people like it if they're on their 4th one. But
yeah. And people spend like hundreds of even thousands of dollars building like a home racing simulator setup for these games.
Pretty nuts.
So.
All right.
It'd be cool to have one.
Next game we're going to talk about, creepy game to me. It's called We Happy Few. Will launch August 10th, and this was an interesting word. I thought it's retro futuristic 1960s England. So it's retro, but it has futuristic stuff at the same time. It's very creepy. There's apparently a drug joy that everybody takes, and it keeps them like tripped out of their minds. People are wearing these masks that make you smile like permanently.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, what's with these masks? That's like the first thing.
Yeah, and that's like part of like this. I don't know if you want to call it a cult or what. That's going on in this world. But you're basically in this retro futuristic 1960s England setting where there's this drug joy that's very prominent, and it's a narrative-driven action adventure. So it's very story-based in this world that is creepy, and you end up playing between 3 different citizens, as it was described as interwoven narratives of 3 moderately terrible citizens trying to escape from a lifetime of cheerful denial. Which is a mouthful. So you got three not good citizens trying to escape a lifetime of cheerful denial. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pass on this one.
It's curious. I know at least one of my friends would probably really like this game. He really likes these type of kind of horror-ishy kind of story, kind of what is going on right now. This is creeping me out.
Yeah. It reminds me a little, like the environments look like it reminds me a little bit of BioShock.
Yes, it's good.
Not necessarily the story or anything, just like the, kind of past but future technology.
I believe that term you're looking for is retro futuristic.
Yeah, sure. Yes. That sounds perfect. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of what it reminds me of. Except everyone wears these creepy masks.
And that will be out on August 10th.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 more to cover. Well, a couple more actually. Next would be Shadows of the Tomb Raider. It is the third of the most recent trilogy coming out. It will release September 14th on PC, Xbox, and PS4. This is supposed to be the most challenging of the new trilogy with the puzzles and the stuff that goes on. It looks really good if you haven't seen it. But it's continuing the newer version of Lara Croft, not the old Boxum version.
Not the Angelina Jolie version.
The more realistic character. Like when I was watching the trailer, I really liked it because one, there is no dual pistols. They're sticking with that. Nope, they're no.
Man, come on.
Her bow is her iconic weapon. This whole series is kind of telling you why she became a Tomb Raider. Like these are the events that lead up, and it is continuing the storyline from the first two. So this is finishing the trilogy. If you're a fan of them, I definitely recommend checking it out. If you're not, I still tend to recommend checking it out. The gameplay and the video I watched was very, very intriguing. Yeah, lesser known.
Yeah, looks good. I'm way behind on Tomb Raider games apparently.
Well, this one they did the recent Tomb Raider movie. Do you remember when that came out?
Yeah, that was similar. That
person is still a character they're using for all these games. Yes.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, it looks good. Visually, it's stunning. Yeah. So, yeah,
visually stunning. We have a less. What is it? Would that be called a AAA game? Well, this would not be. It's more of an independent created, I believe. But it's made Ori and the Will of Wisp. If you've never heard of Ori, this is a sequel. There was a first version of it, which was very good, got very good reviews. It is a super, super pretty platformer game. If you like platformers, I recommend this because it looks awesome. Great music. The gameplay just looks, you can't look at it and go, that's not pretty.
Yeah, and the game mechanics look really fluid as well.
This will launch 2019 on the PC and the Xbox. So there's still a lot of work to be done on it, but it looks amazing.
Sounds good.
Microsoft is getting ready for the future. They have been buying game companies. They're actually buying up most of the companies that make these games we're talking about. They bought Undead Labs, which makes their State of Decay game, if you've played those. Playground Games, which makes Forza. Ninja Theory, which was known for Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. Compulsion Gaming, which makes We Happy Few, the really creepy one we just talked about. And they actually are starting up a brand new gaming studio called The Initiative. So they are getting ready. They're not backing off from not only the gaming, but I think they're going to be pursuing streaming stuff as well. And they're putting their big boy pants on.
Well, good for them, because I feel like PlayStation is starting to take over the console market. So I don't want to say take over. I just feel like they have a bigger share.
That they have released the code name for the new system they're working on, and it's going to be called Scarlet. So if you hear that in reference to Microsoft, that is right now the name they're using for the new next generation console that they're going to put out.
Now, do you think this is going to be a new console with new hardware, or is it going to be like a almost like a streaming box?
They seem to hint at it. It's both.
So well, when I say streaming box, I mean that you'll be able to play games, but use like Microsoft's server rendering power in the cloud. So you don't need to have this giant console that runs all these, that
possibly, yes.
That has to have this big power supply and everything. It just kind of like what Steam is doing. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, that's probably the future. And just think about, let's say you can buy a TV in the future with an Xbox streaming service built in that you could play all of your games on. You just use the cloud's rendering power to stream your games. Obviously, we have to have the infrastructure to support all that, up and download bandwidth, but who knows, man? I think it's possible.
Yeah. Anyway, It's still obviously way, way too early, and they're not going to tell you anything real.
Yeah, and the Xbox. I mean, it is about time for new consoles, though. A new console war, because that the Xbox One came out. Shit, what 10 or 15 years ago? What was it? 13 years ago, I think.
Very working functionally. We'll see. Just a couple more games they announced. Devil May Cry 5 was announced. Going to continue the story from number 4. It's going to be a true sequel. It will launch.
No, it was only 5. Sorry, it's only 5 years ago. Didn't mean to interrupt, but
so 5 years ago it came out. That's not too long ago in consoles.
Yeah. No, it's not.
But yeah, Devil May Cry 5 was announced. True sequel to number 4. It will have 3 protagonists to play, continuing the storyline. And this will launch spring 2019 on the PC, the Xbox, the PS4. Bandai announced a new fighting game called Jump Force. Right now, it looks like they're marketing it as a combination of like worlds meet that parallel universes, whatever. Basically, they're bringing a bunch of anime characters into a fighting game. They had what was it, Frieza? They had Naruto, and I always forget this other guy they had in it, but it was from different anime, very popular and well-known animes in the fighting game. And that will be launched in 2019. They didn't announce what platforms yet, so that's still very up in the air. One that I thought was neat, Dying Light 2 was announced. Dying Light 1 was a very well-received game. This one is main feature they've announced for now is that it's going to be based on choices. And there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of choices the character is going to have to choose from, and it's going to influence the entire game. And the neat part is they said they're trying to make it so basically every time anybody who plays this game is going to have a completely different experience from somebody else who plays it because of these choices. And they use the... Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say this. I mean, this is like awesome for replay value. You could play the game 100 times almost and never have the same outcome. If this
the example they used was there was a water supply, and one of the factions requested that you secure it for them. So when you go there, you have a choice of securing it by any means necessary, basically wiping out the bandits who have control of it, or siding with them. And if you side with them, basically you then have I need to stop saying basically. You have control over the water supply in the city, and you kind of sell it like black market. And that, is not necessarily a good thing for society. So you start getting less reputable people showing up at your town. Whereas if you take out these people and take the control of the water supply for the Peacekeepers, was a faction, they use it and the city prospers. You start getting running water on the street because it's, a better society. But the problem is the Peacekeepers as a faction, if you don't agree with them, they're very heavy-handed. It's, you're either with them or not. So that influences that change. And there's apparently hundreds of these choices that will continually affect your city as you play through the game.
Yeah. Sounds cool.
Another well-known series, Gears of War, is releasing the 5th one in 2019. So they had a release trailer for it. Apparently the Locusts are the bad guys. They're going back into more Locust story. I know you've played. I think we played 1 through 3. Did we play the 4th one? I think we did.
Yeah, I don't think we played did we play the 4th one? I don't know. I don't remember. Because that was one of the games that you could play together on the same screen, at least for the 360.
It was co-op local.
Yeah.
But that's supposed to come out in 2019. Along with it, they announced 2 other games. One is Gear Tactics for PC, which is apparently going to be a turn-based strategy, and Gears Pop in 2019, which they didn't really release much more than just a simple little goofy trailer for it. But there should be 3 Gears of War related games coming out within the next 2 years.
Yeah, huh? Is that like a play on like
yes,
like this little Funko?
Yes, it totally is.
Characters.
The trailer had that's what they had in it. I'm like, I don't know what that is going to be, but yeah.
All right, sure. I guess if people are willing to play it,
they talked about were more like Tales of Vespera, Definite Edge. Yeah, sure. Apparently, it's an old, famous Japanese RPG that never came to America. They are working on it to release it in winter on PC, Xbox, PS4, and Switch. So if you had ever wanted the interest of playing that game, it is coming to the West. And we had Cuphead DLC announced. That will be coming in 2019. That's a very hard game. Tunic is coming to the Xbox One. It's an action-adventure game. Battletoads was announced. Just Cause 4 will be released December 4th. Black Desert will start a beta in the fall on the Xbox. Crackdown 3 got delayed to February. Metro Exodus is coming February 22nd. It's the third game. And Kingdom Hearts 3 got delayed, won't come out to 29th. Yes.
More Kingdom Hearts games, huh? That's the game where they like mix all the Disney characters.
That has a very, very big following, and it's a very anticipated game.
Yeah. I never played it, but it looks, I don't know, it's strange seeing all those characters in one spot, I think, is why it's
What's had that? It's had Final Fantasy characters, Mario. They're doing Frozen this time.
Yeah, it's got like everybody. Yeah.
I believe it
does
did.
it have Mario for real?
I don't know. Kingdom
they have the license for that?
Hearts.
I don't know. I know it's got like
maybe
like
not.
the Monsters Inc. characters. And
I've never played them. I just know a lot of people like them. I always thought it was a goofy concept, but everybody's like, best RPG ever. And I just never got around to playing it.
I don't know. Try it out, maybe. I don't know. Probably not. That's not my style. But so that's it for Microsoft, right? I think their keynote pretty much covers all that. And I think that might be all for us for tonight. We covered a lot of stuff, and we still have a bunch to talk about for E3. So stay tuned for the next episode for sure. We're going to get into Bethesda, maybe Sony, a couple other ones. I really want to talk about what's the stupid game? The Last of Us 2. The Last of Us 2. Sorry, I'm tired. That's going to be a good one. That's the game that I want to buy a PS4 for. Because I played played the first one on the PS3, and it's an amazing game. But anyway, all right, guys, I think that's going to do it for us tonight. I appreciate everybody listening to us. And as always, look us up on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you can find the social medias. Hit us up on our website at techstuffing.net. And until next time, we will talk to you guys later. Outro music, yeah. Same as the intro music, yeah. We'll eventually find some better outro music. Or different outro music, I don't say. I don't know. All right. See everybody later. Good night. Or good morning. Whatever.